So imagine your life isn't everything it could be. That's generally not that hard to imagine. But then also imagine that there's some variation, week to week, is that maybe you're pretty damn miserable, but sometimes you're unbelievably miserable, and sometimes you're just sort of miserable. And that's not great, but at least there's some variability. One of the things you might do as a clinician, or as a friend, or as a partner, is say, well, exactly what are you doing when you're less miserable? And what are you doing when you're more miserable? Don't think about it. Watch. Like you're watching someone you don't know. This often happens with depressed people. So one of the problems with depression is it's a positive feedback loop, Because you get depressed, and then you stop seeing your friends. And even if you're introverted, there's friends you want to see, at least one-on-one, at least now and then. So now you start to isolate yourself, and then you get more depressed. And then you isolate yourself more. And then you get more depressed. It's downhill spiral, It's not good. A lot of forms of mental illness are positive feedback loops that spiral out of control. So one of the things you might do with a depressed person, they come to see you, if you're a therapist, you might say, look, just for the next week or 2 weeks or so, I want you to just keep a mood record. Maybe check in with yourself every hour, scale from 1 to 10. Just write down how depressed you are, with 10 being suicidal and 1 being as good as you get, let's say, or maybe even life is worth living. And maybe the depressed person never gets, below 6 or something, but 6 is way better than 10. And then they come back and you look and you think, oh, look, every time you were at 6 instead of 10, you were with this particular person or this set of people, or maybe you're working in your garden. Who knows, right? Or maybe if you're artistic, you were doing something artistic despite the fact that you're paralyzed by your depression. But notice your mood improved some. And then look, 10 out of 10 depressed. You're alone in your room in bed. It's like 11 in the morning. It's like, okay, so how about this? Next week, don't be alone in your bed at 11 o'clock in the morning. And spend like 20% more time, or 10%, or 2% with your friends, or doing something that seems to improve not your mood, but your state of being. And then play with that and see, can you tilt yourself gradually and incrementally, comparing yourself to who you were yesterday? Can you tilt yourself in the right direction? And then, well, that's for depressed people. You might say, well, could you do that in your life? And the answer is, yes.